Gaming. So, I know why you're here. Expert Mission 15, Extreme Malice. To beat this mission, you're going to have to take on supervillain versions of Broly, Omega Shenron, Kid Buu, Golden Frieza, Janemba, and if you want the ultimate finish, you're going to have to defeat Mira in his final form. With all of that, this expert mission can be very frustrating and definitely ball-busting. So before throwing your controller across the room in a rage, please allow me to give you some tips and offer some advice on how you can defeat this expert mission. The first tip, and probably the best tip, is to play this offline. Being offline helps you avoid the common problems such as you getting kicked or your friends getting kicked offline. However, the main reason you want to be offline doing this expert mission is because of the gigantic ki blast. When you're online, sometimes the gigantic ki blast that the boss throws will bug out, and then after that it doesn't matter what you throw at it, it won't be repelled back. So the easiest way to avoid this frustration and this broken raid mechanic from being online is just be offline altogether. I guess Xenoverse 2 just doesn't want you to play with your friends. Rants aside, let's move on to the next topic, setting up your character. When setting up your character, the main three stats that you want to keep in mind are Ki, Ki Blast, and Stamina. Now unfortunately, you may not have a character that has these stats. And instead of wasting a Dragon Ball wish to respec your character, we have a different solution. We can set our equipment instead. The best setup is a full Beerus set. It's going to give you high ki, a high ki blast, and high stamina stats, which is perfect for this fight. Now, if you have a really good QQ bang with these stats, use that instead if you don't want to rock the Beerus attire. But I would definitely recommend using the full Beerus set. You can get a full Beerus set from the clothing shop and it's pretty inexpensive. The next piece of equipment is a must-have. It is the 4-star Super Soul called Hmmmm. Yes, that's what it's called. This is the Elder Kai Super Soul. It always shortens revive times, and when an Awoken skill and reinforcement skill is activated, all allies enter health auto recovery. Having this Super Soul activated will help keep your health topped off and the health of your allies as well. We will be basing our strategy around this Super Soul. If you do not have this Super Soul, you can get it from the Buu Kids by giving them food. Now we need to pick our move set. For gathering ki, we're going to use Maximum Charge. The next ability we want to pick is Super Guard. Super Guard gives us a little bit more utility and defense and helps us mitigate damage. Super Guard allows you to become immune to damage by consuming ki. You can use up to 4 bars of ki. The next super attack is a power-up called Prepare to be Punished. This will power you up in exchange for not being able to switch the lock on. This will make it hard to revive someone, but usually you can leave that job to the computer as you'll be DPSing the boss. With your Awoken skill activated, we want to keep this ability refreshed at all times. This will allow us to heal up in the fight and keep our health topped off. Now by now you're probably wondering, well, what the hell am I going to damage the boss with? There's quite a few different answers for this one, and mainly it's up to personal choice. 4 super attacks that I would recommend would be Destructo Disc, Perfect Shot, Die Missile Barrage, and Death Beam. Destructo Disc can allow you to hang back. Since it has excellent tracking, it can hit your opponent just about from anywhere. However, its DPS is very low compared to the other attacks. Perfect Shot is an excellent move with good tracking. It does good damage. Its projectile is faster than Destructo Disc, so it might miss more often than Destructo Disc. Die Missile Barrage is another ability that has good tracking. It also has multiple hits, and is good for keeping the enemy in place while other people spam their ultimates and other attacks on the boss. However, its effective range is about medium to close. Last, and my personal favorite, is the Death Beam. Death Beam is quick and accurate, and it can do tons of damage to the boss. However, you have to remain kind of close, which might create problems of avoiding some of the boss's attacks. But staying observant will allow you to mitigate damage and avoid those attacks using things such as the super guard and your evasive skills, or just plain blocking. Next up are the ultimate attacks. The very best ultimate attack you can have for repelling the gigantic ki blast is the Soul Punisher. The Soul Punisher uses 500 ki, but it will one-shot the gigantic ki blast given that you're offline. Because if you're online, remember, and it bugs out, it's not going to matter how many Soul Punishers you put into it. You can easily obtain the Soul Punisher by buying it in the skills shop. The last ultimate attack can be left up to your own personal preferences. I like the Death Ball, Perfect Kamehameha is fine, Super Vanishing Ball, whatever you feel is comfortable. It's a personal choice. Next up is the Awoken skill, which once again, using our Super Soul is key to this fight. I recommend going with Potential Unleashed. Potential Unleashed is a transformation that will unleash your latent abilities for a massive power-up. This mode can charge ki quicker than any other modes. This will be a big help for gathering up ki for gigantic ki blasts, and ki use in general since you're going to need it to damage the boss. Now you can use Super Saiyan or the Golden Frieza abilities if you're one of those races, but Potential Unleashed is going to be better. If you don't have Potential Unleashed, you can earn it from the advancement test. You need to get a Z rank on all the advancement tests, and then you will be given a final test. Then all you have to do is beat the final test. You do not need a Z ranking, but you will still earn the Potential Unleashed. The last and final ability will be an evasive skill called Armored Boost. This ability allows you to move at high speed movement while invincible. This move will definitely help you mitigate damage and avoid a lot of the boss's abilities. So what are the abilities that the bosses have? The first ability is the Gigantic Ki Blast. This is one of the most dangerous moves, but it's also the most easily handled. Doing this expert mission offline will help you avoid it bugging out, and using the Soul Punisher will allow you to one-hit repel the Gigantic Ki Blast. The next ability, I've looked all over, I don't know what people are calling this, they call it many names, I'm just going to call it the Dark Slicer. When the boss uses a Dark Slicer move, it'll send out ki saw blades at your character. Now this attack will go wherever your character is. This move can be handled in a variety of ways. By staying observant, sometimes the boss will give an audible clue. You can then rapidly fly away in any direction to avoid the saw blades. You can also block, granted that you have enough stamina. You can also use the super guard, granted you have ki. And as always, you can always use your evasive skill Armored Boost, which is great for the Dark Slicer because it will make you invincible and send you off flying rapidly. This is good because the invincibility buff that Armored Boost gives you doesn't last the full duration of the Dark Slicer. So having the ability to rapidly fly away will also help you avoid more damage. The last ability is the Marbling Drop. Deal with this move the same way you deal with the Dark Slicer. Although I wouldn't recommend trying to block it because it will stamina break you. Flying away, using Super Guard, or using Armored Boost will help you deal with this ability. Even with all that said, you probably will still get hit by this move, especially Golden Frieza's Marbling Drop. His version of the Marbling Drop has a homing ability, and there's a good chance that it could wipe you. So mitigating this damage is the key to getting through this fight. So remember to keep your Super Soul activated with your Awoken skill and keep refreshing Prepare to be Punished, because having full health is the best way to deal with the damage. The last and final thing I can tell you is to have proper ki management. I recommend having a bar or two of ki saved up for using Super Guard when things get rough. Having the Beerus set should help you have plenty of ki. Depending on your ability to have large amounts of ki, you may be able to keep 4 bars of ki at all times and use Super Guard to its fullest. But unless you have tons of ki, I wouldn't recommend holding 4 bars of ki, because if you're only gathering ki up to 1, 2, 3, or 4 bars at a time and using the ability, well, you're spending too much time charging up and you're not doing enough damage quickly enough to the boss, and you will run out of time. So you'll have to develop your own individual strategy for how much ki you reserve during the fight. Okay, it's time to recap. 1. Do this offline to avoid the gigantic ki blast from being bugged. 2. Have a full Beerus set in the Super Soul. Hmmmm. I'm not saying the rest. In your moveset, you want to have the super attacks, Super Guard, Maximum Charge, Prepare to be Punished, and the attacks Death Beam, Destructo Disc, Perfect Shot, or Die Missile Barrage. But seriously, go with Death Beam, it's the best. And for your ultimate attack, you must have Soul Punisher, so you can have a one-hit attack on the gigantic Ki Blast. Make sure to have Potential Unleashed because that's key to the strategy, and keeping it refreshed with Prepare to be Punished so you can have healing. Also, in the very last, make sure Evasive skill is Armored Boost. Having all of these abilities will allow you to deal with the gigantic Ki Blast, the Dark Slicer, and the Marbling Drop. Well, that's all for the tutorial part of this video. I hope you do well and good luck to you, and I hope it doesn't frustrate you too much. If you'd like to see what this fight looks like using these methods, stick around at the tutorial part because I will have the full fight. I also will have the full fight in a separate link down in the description because it's kind of a long video and you probably don't want to watch a full tutorial and then the fight too, so I'll split that up for you. But if you do want to stick around, keep watching and you'll see the whole entire fight in action. There won't be any commentary because I didn't use any, but you'll get the idea. Hey, thanks for sticking around and watching the full video. I really appreciate that. If you found this video informative or you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and maybe you'll subscribe to my little channel. Well, it's been fun. My name is Ryan. This is Belch Gaming, and I'll see you guys later.